Just minutes ago, the royal family stunned everyone with a startling revelation that's reverberating through the palace corridors. Several royals are openly defying tradition, visibly distressed, and choosing their own paths. This chaos has resurfaced somber, buried tales, particularly about Princess Diana, whose tragic life and enigmatic demise continue to loom large in the royal saga. With such a sudden and intense disclosure, what other long-concealed stories might emerge? Stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries they've long concealed. Lately, there have been many intriguing stories about the British royal family, revealing some ongoing issues behind palace doors. A few royals seem dissatisfied with their lives and are beginning to take their own paths. Amid all this, a surprising detail from past decades has come to light, shared by someone once close to the royal family. This has brought back conversations about the sad and untimely death of Princess Diana. As tensions rise, an old letter from Princess Diana resurfaces, hinting at a secret that could shake the monarchy to its core. Looking back at her life, Diana Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, into a noble family known for being shy and quiet. She first met Prince Charles through her older sister, Lady Sarah Spencer. Lady Sarah had a brief relationship with him in the late 1970s, but it ended after she openly said she wouldn't marry him, no matter his royal status. However, this breakup paved the way for Diana to meet Charles, starting a romance that the whole world would follow closely. In 1980, 19-year-old Diana and 32-year-old Charles began dating despite their noticeable age gap, which would later cause issues in how they viewed life. While the public was fascinated by their relationship, Diana felt uneasy from the very start. She was especially bothered by his ongoing feelings for his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Even though he was with her, his emotional and lingering feelings for Camilla were clear. Later on, Diana admitted that she often questioned his commitment to her, especially after hearing him speak fondly of Camilla to a friend, even saying he would always love her. After their engagement was announced, there was a well-known interview where a journalist asked Charles if he truly loved Diana. Charles gave a vague answer, saying, "Whatever love means," which only made Diana feel more unsure about their relationship. Even though she had doubts, the pressure from his royal status and her own inexperience made her push those feelings aside. On July 29, 1981, their wedding was held at St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and it was called the Wedding of the Century. The ceremony was broadcast all over the world, with around 750 million people watching. The event was filled with elegance, fitting for a future king and queen. Diana wore a stunning ivory silk dress designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, which had a 25-foot train, adding to the extravagance of the day. More than 3,500 guests, including world leaders, royals, and famous people, attended the event. But all the beauty and glamour couldn't hide the problems in their marriage. Soon after, it became known that Charles was still involved with Camilla, which only made things harder for Diana. She was already struggling with her role in the royal family, and this only made it worse. While the public saw their marriage as a fairy tale, the truth was much more difficult. Even though the wedding was grand, she dealt with feelings of neglect and loneliness, especially after realizing that Charles had stronger feelings for someone else, even before their marriage officially began. She felt Camilla's presence looming over her relationship with Charles, despite her early attempts to win Charles's heart. She always felt overshadowed by Camilla, which only added pressure to their marriage over time. This tension became well known when she spoke openly about her struggles in a famous 1995 interview on BBC's Panorama. As her marriage struggled, a new chapter of heartache and public scrutiny began. Echoes of silence filled her words as she explained how she often felt ignored by Charles, longing for his affection but rarely receiving it. She described moments of deep desperation where she would go to extreme lengths just to get his attention. One particularly distressing moment happened when she was pregnant with their first child, Prince William. In a state of emotional pain, she threw herself down the stairs at Sandringham, hoping Charles would show some concern. But to her disappointment, he barely reacted to her cries for help. This act was a cry for attention, a sign of just how isolated she felt in their marriage. Luckily, the baby was unharmed, but the incident showed the intense emotional struggles she was facing. She admitted to feeling alone and betrayed, especially as she tried to cope with her responsibilities in the royal family while knowing that Charles's relationship with Camilla was ongoing. Charles's affair with Camilla was a huge point of conflict in their marriage. In the same interview, she famously said that their marriage had 3 people in it, hinting at the deep pain she felt knowing that Charles's heart was divided. As their marriage continued to fall apart, she still tried to fix things while also finding comfort in her public duties, which brought her recognition and respect for her charitable work. But that wasn't the end of her challenges. These revelations showed just how hard she was trying to find happiness and a sense of belonging while also dealing with the painful reality of living a public life filled with personal heartache. She found comfort and recognition through her charity work, but at home, she faced ongoing struggles. In 1992, she and Charles decided to separate, and by 1996, they officially divorced. During this time, she dealt with a lot of public and private pressure. She often spoke about how hard she tried to fix their relationship, but Charles's close connection with Camilla made it impossible for them to reconcile. When their divorce was finalized, she had come to terms with the fact that she couldn't win Charles's love. Their rocky relationship had left deep emotional scars, but it also helped her become more resilient and independent. Her focus shifted to raising her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, and continuing her humanitarian work. These roles gave her purpose in the years that followed, and she became beloved around the world as the people's princess. The constant media attention became a dangerous factor. On that fateful night, she and Dodi were staying at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, owned by Dodi's father. After spending the evening there, they tried to leave quietly, hoping to avoid the paparazzi that followed them everywhere. Their desire for privacy led to a tragic car accident that ended both their lives and left the world in shock. A group of photographers gathered in front of the hotel, eager to snap pictures, but the individuals they were after slipped out the back door to avoid being seen. They were heading to Dodi Fade's apartment in Paris. Henry Paul, who was temporarily in charge of security at the Ritz Hotel, was driving with them, along with Trevor Rees-Jones, Dodi's personal bodyguard. Unfortunately, as soon as they left, the photographers figured out where they were going and began chasing them aggressively. These same photographers had been following Princess Diana throughout her stay in Paris, and now their pursuit became even more intense as the car sped away. After a devastating crash, a wave of shock and questions followed the Alma Tunnel incident. The black Mercedes they were riding in raced into the tunnel under the Alma Bridge at a very high speed, trying to escape the photographers. Sadly, shortly after entering the tunnel, the car crashed into a pillar while going about 65 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. Dodi Fade and Henry Paul died instantly at the scene, while Diana was critically injured but still alive. Emergency responders quickly arrived and rushed her to the Petit-Salpêtrière hospital. The journey took nearly 2 hours, but despite all the medical efforts, she passed away a few hours later. Trevor Rees-Jones, the bodyguard, survived, though he was severely injured and faced a long road to recovery. But that wasn't the most surprising part. When the initial investigation results came out, they were shocking. French authorities revealed that Henry Paul had been drinking, with his alcohol level being 3 times over the legal limit. This was identified as the main reason for the crash. On top of that, it was found that none of the passengers, except for Rees-Jones, had been wearing their seatbelts, which significantly reduced their chances of surviving the accident. The news of Diana's death shocked people all over the world. She wasn't just admired for her beauty and elegance, but also for her kindness and the way she connected with people. Her involvement in humanitarian work and her ability to relate to everyday people made her loved by many. When she passed away, millions mourned her loss, feeling a deep sadness that such a compassionate person was taken so suddenly. There was also a lot of anger directed at the paparazzi, who were often blamed for invading her privacy. This raised important questions about how public figures should be treated and how journalism should be handled more responsibly. Despite these discussions, the world continued to grieve over the sudden and tragic way her life ended. One of the people hit hardest by her death was her butler, Paul Burl. Paul Burl had worked for her for over 10 years, and during that time, their relationship became much more than just that of a boss and an employee. Burl had started out as a young boy from a working-class family in Derbyshire, England. His dream of working for the royal family began when he saw the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace as a child. From that moment, he knew he wanted to be part of the royal household. At 18, Bearle's dream came true when he got a job at Buckingham Palace as a footman for Queen Elizabeth II. He quickly demonstrated how hardworking and professional he was. In 1987, he became her personal footman, and from there, his role grew. When she and Prince Charles separated in 1992, Bearle's job focused even more on supporting her. He became her butler and eventually her personal assistant, taking care of her household and traveling with her on many trips. Their bond grew stronger over time, and Bearle wasn't just an employee, he became one of her most trusted friends. He was there during some of her hardest times, offering support when she faced the pressures of being a royal, dealt with the media, or focused on her charitable work. He often spoke about how much he admired her for her genuine compassion and her commitment to helping others. However, when the news of her death reached him, Bearle's world fell apart. The loss hit him hard, showing just how deep the connection they had built over the years really was. This bond wasn't just professional, it was personal. The pain of her passing wasn't the only difficult part, as hidden struggles and legal battles began to emerge. He was deeply shaken when he received the news while on vacation in Italy, and the sadness that followed completely took over. Bearle had spent so much of his time helping her through her tough times, and in the years that followed, he often wondered if being there that night could have made a difference and prevented her death. As time went on, he became an important figure in keeping her memory alive after her tragic passing. He even wrote a few books about his time with her, such as A Royal Duty and The Way We Were. These books spoke about their close relationship, but sharing personal details of her life after her death caused some people, especially the royal family, to criticize him. Despite this, Bearle stated that he revealed these stories out of loyalty to her, believing the public should know the truth about her life. For Paul Bearle, her death wasn't just a professional loss, it was deeply personal. She wasn't just a princess to him, she was a close friend. Her sudden death became a turning point in his life, giving him the responsibility to keep her memory alive. In 1997, when she passed away, a chain of events began that eventually brought her former butler, Paul Bearle, into the public eye. This all led to a major legal case in 2002, when Bearle was accused of stealing over 30,000 items from her estate, including personal letters, photos, clothing, and valuable gifts. The accusations came after the police searched his home and found many of her belongings. He was arrested and charged with theft, facing the possibility of a long time in prison. Overnight, the media attention around this case became huge, and doubts about Bearle's intentions started to spread. Paul Bearle always claimed he was innocent, asserting that the items in question weren't stolen. Instead, he explained that the items had been entrusted to him by Princess Diana herself, who asked him to keep them safe. According to him, she was concerned that her personal belongings might be misused after her death, so she relied on Bearle for their protection. This legal battle garnered worldwide media attention, with every small detail being analyzed for weeks. In November 2002, Bearle, who had been Princess Diana's butler, found himself in the midst of a significant trial when something unexpected occurred. Queen Elizabeth II revealed that Bearle had informed her that he was holding onto some of Diana's personal belongings after her passing. This revelation came as a surprise since it had not been previously mentioned in the trial. The disclosure changed everything, leading to the charges against Bearle being dropped. Before the Queen's statement, Bearle had been accused of taking valuable items that belonged to Diana, Prince Charles, and their son, Prince William. The prosecution argued that Bearle had no right to keep or sell these items, which included a model boat, a bracelet, earrings, and a diamond flower. Bearle, however, insisted that he was merely holding onto these items to eventually return them to her family. Despite his claim, he could not provide any proof of this during the trial, which initially weakened his defense. However, the Queen's statement brought clarity to the situation. She confirmed that she was aware of Bearle's actions and had no objections to them, implying that Bearle had some level of approval from the Queen herself. This contradicted the prosecution's narrative, and both the judge and everyone in the courtroom were surprised. This development quickly brought an end to the trial. Although Bearle was acquitted and free to go, his reputation had already been tarnished. Gossip circulated, and the personal lives of the royal family were thrust under the spotlight. The situation also highlighted the influence the royals could have on legal matters, particularly when unexpected facts emerge. After the trial, new stories surfaced, reigniting old debates. Burl, seeking to share his side of the story, sold his account to a newspaper for a large sum of money. In contrast, other royal staff who had faced similar accusations chose to remain silent, focusing on their loyalty to the royal family rather than seeking attention. The trial also prompted a closer examination of how cases involving royal staff were handled, leading to an internal investigation. This review, led by a former police chief, sought to determine how to avoid such dramatic legal situations in the future. Despite his acquittal, Burl continued to draw attention by revealing more about Diana's life and death in interviews and books. He spoke about how she had been afraid for her safety in the months leading up to the car crash in Paris that ultimately took her life. Burl claimed that Diana had written him a letter expressing her fear that a car accident had been planned to end her life. He described her as genuinely believing that powerful figures were conspiring against her because of her outspoken views and involvement in global humanitarian causes. These claims reignited discussions about the nature of her death, which many initially believed was a tragic accident. Yet, Burl's words made some question whether there was more to the story. However, despite these allegations, many still doubted Burl's version of events, wondering if he was seeking the spotlight or telling the full truth. On that fateful night, Diana's driver, Henry Paul, was speeding and under the influence, leading to a tragic event in the Pont d'Alma tunnel that shocked the world. While a 2008 investigation concluded that her death was caused by the driver's errors and the paparazzi chasing them, recent statements from her former butler, Paul Burl, have reopened the debate. These claims have led many to wonder if the entire truth has been revealed, keeping the events of that night alive in public consciousness. Some still believe that the death of the beloved princess might have been more than just an accident. Regardless of the cause of her death, Princess Diana is remembered for her deep compassion and the tireless efforts she put into helping the less fortunate. She genuinely cared for the vulnerable and marginalized in society. One of her most memorable actions was her work with HIV/AIDS in 1987, when many people were still fearful and confused about the disease. She made headlines around the world by shaking hands with an AIDS patient without wearing gloves, a bold and caring gesture that challenged misconceptions about how the virus was transmitted. This was just one of many acts of bravery, as in 1997, she gained global attention again by walking through an active minefield in Angola to support the fight against landmines. Her actions contributed to the signing of the Ottawa Treaty, which banned the use of these dangerous weapons. These moments of kindness and courage ensured that her legacy lives on, inspiring compassion and humanity worldwide. Princess Diana didn't just save lives, she changed the way the world thought about critical issues, leaving a lasting impact. What do you think was Princess Diana's most impactful moment? Like, comment, and share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more discussions on historical figures.